Okay, are we started?
We are going. Welcome to the Collaborative Learning Ethereum Workshop number 4. Uh, it looks like Jeff and Jeff and myself are here today.
Hello, guys. I don't have a video camera on this computer, so I just wanted to show a little bit of how I've been dabbling with Ethereum. I first want to begin with, a lot of you have already downloaded Mist, and Mist comes with Geth. We're just talking about what Geth is. Geth is the Go Ethereum protocol that's actually connecting almost all the computers together. They've coded the protocol in a number of languages, but that's the official one. You can find it in Ruby, C#, but Go is the official Geth that comes with Mist when you install it. Let's go to when you install Mist. I'm in Windows right now to make things a little easier. So let's go to Users, Jeff, App Data. You'll notice that in App Data roaming, we will find Ethereum. Ethereum, this is where all your, these are my testnet addresses, but these are where your chain data will be, and any dApps that you are testing and deploying. I don't find nodes right here. Yeah, I don't find Geth. Geth is somewhere. They must have changed it in the last thing. Regardless, it looks in your Geth folder for all the data. So when you open Mist, it's just looking at Geth, and Geth is what's synchronizing with the blockchain. And I have a testnet blockchain that I'm going to start right here. All right, so this testnet blockchain is, I'm going to start mining with miner start. I'm going to give it 1 for 1 core so it doesn't take up all my processes. But this blockchain is pre-configured so that I have a ton of test ether to work with.
So that would be your Ethereum.json has the Genesis that sets up.
Yes, I can describe that.
This node that you're running, this was something you downloaded.
Yes, I downloaded it from GitHub. This is a project that I worked on a while ago, but this is guild script, beta Genesis. This address right here has been pre-allocated with a ton of them. And when we were doing alpha, a few of the miners, our top 3 miners, ended up earning a couple of them as well. We do intend to go again, but that's a different thing. But anyway, it's logged here at GitHub that when we do start again, these guys, even though the project has been on the back burner for a few months, these guys will still get their tokens.
Now this, I guess, it just puts this stuff on the blockchain.
Yes, but
that's everything that's on there.
Absolutely. This is what starts on Genesis. So each block is a series of these attributes, and this one describes block number 0.
Now, in the Ether Camp testnet, I thought it said account. No, but it's alloc, and then you have the accounts. Okay.
Yeah, allocating. Yeah, exactly. You allocate. Yeah, that's test RPC. Ethereum test RPC. That is also made by Ethereum. Ethereum JS. Whoops. This is a different version, but it's the same thing. There's an official test RPC as well. Truffle, by consensus, also uses test RPC, and I imagine that the Ether camp is probably using something like Truffle. But yeah, test RPC allows you to do that too, in a way that instead of your contracts actually being on the blockchain, your user interface is communicating with test RPC, which is essentially a Mongo database that's a lot faster than the blockchain, so you can just develop in real time. But that's that. And okay, so the blockchain itself, like I said, I started this with that Genesis block. Yeah, let me actually exit this. Oh, come on. There we go. So, CD work, I think. Nope, that wasn't a good one to go in.
So I'm going to go ahead and put this online, guys, just to let you know.
Yeah, welcome, Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Thank you.
Yeah, I won't really be able to understand what you guys are doing, but I'll record it for everyone else.
Yeah, I'm also recording. So.
Yeah, this is well. I'm gonna put it up on the broadcast, live stream.
Yes, that would be cool.
Awesome. Okay. So I can't even remember how my Windows file system works, so I'm not going to go do that. It's been so long since I've been on Windows. This past week has been it. Okay, so anyway, the I can show you right now what I did with my my shortcut just to make it easier on me is this is what I would actually type into the console, and I put it into my shortcut, which is I wanted to run Geth, and there's the path to Geth, and I want to send it some extra information. This is what you'd actually type in terminal for extra information, but I gave it a network ID. I told it that I want a console when it's done. I told it which IP address that I wanted the RPC to communicate with, and that I wanted RPC turned on. I also told it that I want my main address to be unlocked. So this is quite a bit that I told it. You don't need to go to that extent. Geth console is enough for almost everything. But I was testing dApps, so I needed to do all that, and I didn't feel like typing all that out every time. So let me click that right now. I have two tests, one for 3,000, one for 8,000. That's when I was testing running two nodes at once, which were different blockchains, in order to test the way that oracles would work. So here's the guild script blockchain with that Genesis block already deployed. We're already on block 38,002. I wonder if check all.
We have 38,000 blocks, and we just Genesis in it. I mean, Genesis.
I didn't just Genesis it.
Okay.
This is a bunch of blockchain stuff from alpha testing months ago.
Okay.
But I'm starting here as a starting point. But if you wanted to do your Genesis block, it would literally be Geth, like you drill into where it is, and you'd be like Geth Genesis, and then you describe where your Genesis block was. Usually I would put it in that same folder, and I would just call it like genesis.json or whatever, and you would give it a different data directory because you don't want it overwriting your other blockchains. So you give it like a new BC folder name, and it would make that folder, and that would be your new data directory. And I always suggest doing console, because once you're done, if you type console, you get this nice little bracket over here that's to the left of my cursor. It gives you a cursor to continue to talk to the blockchain. If you don't type console, your terminal opens up and it runs that way until you close your window. It doesn't give you more interactivity. So to start with a Genesis block, all it takes is dash dash and describing where your Genesis block is. So it's really simple with Geth. I just didn't do that. I'm starting with an old one. And from this console, this is where you would start using Web3.
I'm a little bit curious as to what you're using for your bash on Windows.
It's just terminal, CMD.
Really?
Yeah. This isn't bash anymore because I've CMD'd into Geth. So now I'm in Geth.
Right.
And now that I'm in Geth, I could start doing let's see, like Web3 dot get balance, and I'm gonna want the balance of
I like to use Sigwin, but I would do it in normal Linux way, I guess. And it looks like Brent made it. It was going to be on the road here.
Mm-hmm.
We're just some pretty heavy stuff here. He's running a blockchain, and
whoops, sorry. What was the get balance? Yeah. See, I'm not in the F Coinbase.
So this looks like JavaScript now.
It is. Web3 is JavaScript, and I had to start this with Web3. The JavaScript interface is the Web3 JavaScript interface is what they built into not only Geth but anything would use Web3. Even if you built your F on Ruby or C# or C++ or Scala, even if you did any of those, Web3 would still be the interface that all your users would have to interact with. It's your ABI, your application blockchain interface, is your Web3.
All this would work from Scala.js as far as I know.
Yes, easily. I believe easily, and I believe that's one way that could be done. But see, like Web3 from way, that's one of the Web3 functions that pretty much turns it from way, which are those single, remember how I said numbers in Ethereum early on were decided that they weren't going to use floating points, which are decimal points, for anybody who doesn't know, because decimal points really screws up mathematics for a lot of computers. And so instead of using decimal points, they use each digit as one thing, and then they determine a different attribute for how many decimals it has. That's why when you go in and do a token watcher, you need to tell it this long number of tokens and then tell it, yeah, but 16 of those are decimals. It's because it uses way. So anyway, Web3 from way, this one turns it into Ether, as you can see at the end there. And what I told it was I want to use F, which is my local thing, to get my balance of my F Coinbase. Coinbase is your default.
So the way is just the bit of Ether, right?
Yeah, it's the Satoshi of Ether, exactly. Yep, it's that one smallest possible thing you can possibly do. And my window's over a little bit. I guess that's because of automation. So yeah, so that's like 230,000 test Ether on this test net. So Brent didn't see this, but since I'm already running Geth, and since Mist actually communicates with Geth, you can now open Mist and it will communicate with the Geth you already have running. This is not real Ethereum. This is my test net.
So when it's looking for peers, I guess it'll choose the one on your local machine first? Or
Yes, yeah. It always communicates with your local machine. It never, Mist doesn't ever hit your IP, TCP/IP. Your Ethereum hits TCP/IP, and Mist hits Ethereum.
so
Yes.
our Ethereum is Geth.
Yeah. In this case, I'm using Geth to be on the Ethereum network, and that's what most people are running because that's what comes default with Mist. So you'll see this says Ethereum wallet, but it's not connected to Ethereum. It's connected to my Geth right here that I already have running. I have, like I said, a number of tokens. This is Etherbase, the one that I just called over here, the 230,000. This is actually my account. That's the DAO's account that is on this system. So I come into Etherbase, and you can see I have some tokens. I've already messed around with tokens. That was Tech Enterprises shares, which, you know, it was a fun thing. And going to come into contracts here. And here's the Divi DAO that we just built. Brent wasn't here.
Oh, you guys built the token. Awesome.
Yeah, we started the token. And you can see that I'm going to copy this address. Okay, and now we're gonna watch that watch contract. Oh, wait, we already are. Boy, new watch custom. We're missing something.
Did you deploy? Oh, it's there.
Yeah, we deployed what we did was we deployed Brent was the same code that we did on EtherCamp a few weeks ago from the token from ethereum.org.
Yeah.
And this right here, I'm going to copy it. This contract in the test, you can actually open Mist even on a test net and deploy new contract and paste in that contract. And it takes a second for it to it's not quite compiling, but it's turning it into bytecode a little bit for you.
Okay.
So yeah, now this shows up, and this is the Mist user interface. So this would happen no matter how you use the blockchain, and we called this function right here my token.
So
yeah.
I've like when I first got set up with the wallet, I mined my own token only to find out that I didn't have the CPU to be much of a miner. Mm-hmm. We did like I've experienced the test net or the test tokens like from the DAO setup and just kind of going through that trial and error. And now we do like the Divi DAO, and I think the difference is there's no value in test tokens. They're just for testing Ether. But yes, with what was created the other day, or with these Divi DAO tokens, it's kind of like my baseball card collection. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's the difference with the value of the Divi DAO tokens versus test net or test Ether, right?
Yeah, the Ethereum Foundation, when they created the official testnet, Morden, they agreed that the tokens would be reset on a random basis.
Okay.
That's so that there would be no tradable value.
Okay.
Yet, when the DAO first started and people wanted to get test Ether to start messing around with the DAO, people started mining with their video cards. It became so much of a competition to get that test Ether.
Right.
So for like 4 weeks, the people that had to get development done were having a hard time, and pretty much they created an exchange through Slack to get test Ether. It became so hard to get test Ether. So even though you put systems in place to make things worthless, you never know when there's going to be a demand, and it might be of value. So even though they're going to reset test ether, you still might need test ether right now. This particular one right here, I've made the test ether completely worthless by making, as you can see up here, like 1 billion of them. So worthless, right? Because it's just test.
This is your own blockchain, or this is not a real blockchain. This is a simulation of a blockchain.
It's a freeze of a blockchain. It is a blockchain in between alpha and beta. So what we have, even though I'm doing stuff right now, I'm not making consensus once we all turn our machines back on. When I turn this off and everybody else turns theirs back on, we start where we did when we turned everything off by consensus. I don't own anything. So even though I'm making Divi tokens right now on my testnet, those are going to be gone when those other 3 people get up in mining, because they have a lot more mining power than I do. You know what I mean? And they weren't here developing this with me. You know what I mean?
So these tokens are short term then, it's just kind of more for the classroom here?
Yes, but in the same factors, we're using something that's worthless to make these out like these are worthless. These Divi Tau tokens will be worth something to us because we will be able to test out these systems and how to use Divi Tau tokens. And once we figure out how we want to use those, we can then, because we'll be modifying this as we do that. Once we've modified this to our heart's desire, then we want to launch it on the actual test net for others to use, and then the real net for the public to use.
So the difference between the Divi 1.2 is that's Morden versus the Divi 2, which you actually ran a contract for real live tokens, right?
No, the one on EtherCamp was also on Morden, I believe.
Okay.
He spent real ether to make those, because it would take real ether to make real Ethereum tokens, whereas it's going to take test ether to make test Ethereum tokens. And right here in my development environment, I'm using ether that I made out of thin air to make even weaker tokens. Just to test.
That's the variable that I didn't know, is that for tokenization, it's kind of like we were talking about, like, I don't know if it was that Plutus that we were talking about or exactly, but you have to have something of value, just like the DAO token is based off of Ethereum. You can't start with a value if you're just making it out of thin air, like the Federal Reserve, basically, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, theoretically, like, well, that was the, you know, all those altcoins. That was the altcoin model, when you could take a set of open source software, and do what I did right here. You know, like I was going to fork Ethereum. In fact, what are they? Expanse did that. Expanse forked Ethereum, didn't change much code, started a blockchain the same way that I just did, and then simply marketed it the way it was. So that would be a way to do that. Expand tokens now becomes a thing. As long as they're willing to be administrative enough to, it takes a number of nodes, it takes a number of knowledge to start creating that network effect. So as long as you can build that network effect, you can literally go steal somebody's code and build that network effect. And that's what people are trying to dissuade when they do open source. Open source is supposed to try to create that network effect, but it doesn't keep other people from coming in and using it any way they want.
And you know, if you're building the Divi token on the regular Ethernet, you use a little bit of ether to create it, a tiny amount.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
it's a tiny amount. Okay, the value of the token depends on what you have it pegged to in terms of value that it represents and what people think it's worth. Okay,
yeah, I'll bet you it took less than
we don't have to. We don't have to put any assets behind it. Like the DAO token has ether behind it. They paid ether to make the DAO tokens.
Mm-hmm.
But these tokens are almost free, even on the real Ethernet, in terms of the amount of ether that it takes to create them.
Do I need to kick in some weed to partake in this experiment?
Well, all it would take is what I think we could do is create a test net the way that I did here for our little guild script group. I think we should create a Divi GitHub and start doing a test net for Divi that we could do. And you were talking about mining, Brent, because of the situation with testing is different from the situation with live. You wouldn't want to compete with mining so much as be altruistic with the mining. You only want to mine as much as you had to do to get your contracts onto the blockchain or to get enough ether to work with, one or the other. You don't have to mine all the time to keep the network synchronized. It looks like I'm freezing a little bit, so I can't show you that. Yeah, see, I'm not mining right now. As you can see, nothing is going on. So if I did miner start, I give it a 1, and that makes it so I'm only mining 1 core. And you'll see that it'll do my DAG, and in a few minutes it'll realize there's nobody else to sync with, and it'll just start mining, and then I'll be able to check my balance, and I'll have 5 more because I haven't changed anything in this. It's 5 ether per block. But I have a billion of them. If you want a million of them to try something that's going to take a lot of ether, this reservoir is literally yours. That's what this stuff is for. It's for trying anything you want because we're not competing at this point for the blockchain power.
Right. It's your own blockchain.
Yeah, so we should make our own blockchain, and that way we do have a small network started. And it would pretty much be a beta testing area. In this blockchain, I've started writing down a few things that it would need, and it would be perfect for us to use these recorded coding meetings to actually set it up, because they're all fairly simple. They just take a little bit of talent and time and trust to go into it. So setting up the testnet is one. Setting up a rudimentary Divi DAO tokens that have no extra capabilities as an alpha test would be great, just for us to throw tokens around and create contracts that depended on those tokens. Getting a DAO 1.0 system in place would be another thing.
Yeah.
One that ran off. One that during the crowds, first of all, there'd be a bunch of changes to it. It wouldn't be able to run the way it is. Like, we would have to be able to test pushing proposals through, like within less than an hour, preferably, rather than 2 weeks to 8 weeks. We would have to test whether voting worked, like now, right? So we would have to be able to create a DAO 1.0 that was not secure in all the ways that the DAO 1.0 really is secure, just so that we could test. And it would have to be almost like we could just build an open source thing. So if anybody does come in and screws with it enough to break it, we could just, whatever, we'll redeploy another one.
Just a laboratory here,
Yeah, it would literally be our R&D area. And I haven't gone into Meteor dApps. I'll probably take the last 20 minutes or so of this to talk about Meteor dApps a little bit, but getting Meteor dApps to work is another thing, especially with tokens and rudimentary testing how others are using it. Slock is using it, and Ethereum Foundation themselves are using it. Meteor is a web development platform, Brent, and anybody else, which uses JavaScript as its front end and its back end. So it runs on the client's machine and the server's machine as JavaScript, which is perfect for decentralization, because you can now run client and server with only installing that one tool instead of several sets of tools.
Yeah.
And Ethereum Foundation has set up tools to let us do this easily. Like they've been working very closely to integrate Web3 with Meteor to the point where Meteor even has a bunch of extensions that allow you to easily talk to Ethereum.
Now, either camp doesn't use Meteor out of the box, and that could be one issue. They have, they're sort of an equivalent set of tools, maybe not all the plugins, but we're going to, I'm going to find out if we can run this Meteor stuff in Ethercamp, since there seems to be a large base of stuff written using Meteor.
Hey, I have a question. I run Geth, and I figured I have to run Geth if I want my Mist wallet to run. Otherwise, Mist just shuts down. So trial and error, I started Geth and realized that's what kept Mist going with an upgrade. But I did, going back to like November when they were doing all the frontier and basic training for Ethereum for me, and before they even had the wallet, I had to set up the wallet in my terminal. And that's kind of how I'm familiar with Geth and running the mining. It's just some basic commands on, I could probably start up my computer just by using that command that you had. Is that going to be the same sort of command if I got set up with a Divi DAO or is there a specific command that I'm going to need to point to Divi DAO, basically through the contract?
Well,
we'll have the stuff on GitHub, no doubt, and you'll just do a Git clone of that into the machine, and then you run Meteor.
That's perfect segue to this. So right now, this is the Solidity backend. The Meteor I was going towards that is the front end. Let me open another command prompt and what was it called? Meteor app. Okay. So this is this is example. Okay, perfect. You see this app license README folder system here?
Yeah.
This is literally right here. Oh, sorry, not the right one. Ethereum. Let's go to Ethereum GitHub. All right. So you come to Ethereum, and everyone's been here, I'm sure. Let's go to Go Ethereum. Come over to the wiki. Now, let's go. I think I'm in the wrong place. Where is it? Meteor dApps. Here we go. It is in the wiki. I'm just in the wrong spot. All right. So Ethereum's wiki actually has dApps using Meteor. This is the intended way, and you notice that they've developed a bunch of easily installable Meteor extensions that will use Web3 to talk to the blockchain, or Mini Mongo, which will be a persistent database, kind of like Scenario wants to use, to have data be quickly brought back and forth without always going to the blockchain. This is the data that will, for instance, be on your user interface. That's
the beauty of the node. I mean, is that the whole point of the node?
Yeah, it's so that Mist Wallet is itself a dApp that is made using Meteor. So
Okay.
when you run Mist Wallet, all that is a pre-package that will install Geth, synchronize your blockchain, and open this nice little user interface for you that's made with JavaScript on the client and server side right here in front of you. So your Mist Wallet, your browser normally communicates with a central node, say Facebook or Google. So they get all your data because they're the central node giving you all your data. Instead, this new browser, the Ethereum browser, will talk directly to your blockchain node, which you can run yourself, or you can trust somebody else to run it for you. But it's wicked easy to run yourself, as you've seen. And that's the point: is you can now throw up an Ethereum Geth node, synchronize with the blockchain, open up your little, say, the DAO voting mechanism here, vote, and you've never centrally sent your IP information to anybody. You've contacted the contract directly from your user interface, and you've interfaced with that yourself decentrally. Yeah, this is what they intend. The Ethereum system is an entire integrated development environment for decentralized applications. It's not just the blockchain. It's not just the ethers. It's, you know, it's not even just Solidity. There's Whisper. There's a few things that aren't even done yet that are coming. And then after they figure it all out, they are going to like blockchain, like actually Web 3.0, blockchain 2.0, Ethereum 2.0, however you want to call it. But when they go into Casper, Casper is the goal is to do 10,000 transactions per second, and they believe it'll be fast enough to do 100,000 transactions per second. And they believe that it already can handle 7,000 or something like that. Like they're already there. Like it takes a blockchain that fast to do the things that Scenario wants to do. So the Casper blockchain is seriously like going to be a close cousin of the Scenario, the same way Bitcoin is, the same way IPFS is. Like Scenario is going to become an integral part of that ecosystem, which makes all of them grow, and it doesn't compete with it. It becomes a different thing that none of the others handle.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to get a understanding of it. It's also my understanding that Mist is a smart contract in and of itself. Yes. And you could have two nodes. If everybody else was wiped out on the planet, as long as there was two nodes, Ethereum would still work. Might take a while, but it still would work.
I forgot what I was doing here. So anyway, these Meteor, I have about 14 minutes. These Meteor contracts, some people have already started messing with it, and this right here, GitHub, Silent Cicero, Meteor DApp boilerplate, right in the write-up. A lot of times you'll go through these GitHubs and you'll see my name, and it's not because I've really contributed that much, by the way. It's just because I edit stuff when I see things are wrong, because I'm following this stuff and this is how I'm learning it, so I'm reading everything. And I'm a stickler for spelling and stuff. So anyway, Meteor DApp boilerplate, app license readme. That is literally what I have here, app license readme. All I had to do to get this was when you clone, there's a cloner download button here, and you'll notice that the end, let's copy it. I'm gonna paste that here. You'll see that the end of it has a Git extension, that cloner download thing. So if I was to git clone that, then it would download exactly this down to this. And you do need to install Git, and it's not easy to do on Windows, but Linux Mint, you should just be like sudo apt-get install Git or whatever it is, yum or whatever it is on Mint.
Have you ever used Sigwin?
Yeah, I've got Sigwin somewhere here.
I mean, it can be a little bit of a pain because sometimes things don't work exactly the same. But
what I like for the well, what I prefer is just to run in Linux. Like, I've only been on this for about a week, and it's only been because I'm trying to get that Docker node running, same way Brent was yesterday. That's why I'm using Linux, because they have this nice little Docker quick start terminal that makes things a little easier. At least I thought it would. I can't get it working. So, oh, look, I never turned my miner off. So anyway, I've got a lot of blocks here now. But the Genesis block is the freeze. So like when we all start again, we all need to use that Genesis block, and that Genesis block is where the freeze was. And nobody can edit that Genesis block without consensus because it's GitHub. So yeah, long story short, Meteor DApp boilerplate, that's where I am here. Let me delete all this. To get a Meteor thing running, you do the git clone, which is literally what I did here to get this thing that I renamed Gnosis Alpha style. You'll see my directory is exactly the same way, and I want to drill into the app file. The directory has this Meteor command here. All you need to do is type Meteor. This took forever earlier, but it shouldn't take that long now that I've built it once. Here we go. Started MongoDB already. See, that took 10 minutes earlier. So on your local machine, it compiles it into a form that you can then, the same way we did yesterday, Brent, in scenario, we were trying to get like one of these things running so that we could then come over to our browser to use the interface. That's exactly what this is. Let it finish building its interface. And this isn't a completely useful tool here because it's just a boilerplate. It's just like a template to start building dApps on. It's the very beginning. But all I did was get it, and now I've typed in Meteor, and now it's done. So now I'm going to go to localhost 3000. And that's going to communicate with my blockchain, the new blockchain right here.
Did you have to have you had to have the terminal open and the node open and communicating for that to happen? Because
yes, if I close this window, it'll shut down the app. Yep.
Okay. Because I'm familiar with that node yesterday from the scenario, and it's like I probably shut down the terminal and I came back later and went to the IP and made it to scenario, and the windows spun around. It's probably because I shut the terminal.
Maybe. Well, since I've already shown you this is how easy it is anyway to run your dApp once you get it. So let me shut that. Let me open my Docker here, and let's close this because that's taking up a lot of my resources. But do you guys agree that this path would be an okay way to go to go over to the either make our own test net or go over to the test net that everybody's already on and start making Divi tokens to mess around with, and start making a test DAO 1.0 and start making, test contracts for Divi too, which I still like DAO 2.0 as a name, but yeah.
I only because I know it can be done through Mist, and I've played around with that wallet. I know you could. So what's the difference of this versus Ethercamp versus,
Yeah, they're all the same way. This is just the one I prefer, and I wanted to show people because I've done a lot of, trying a bunch of things, and this seems to be the easiest working for me. I'm not opposed to collaborating on an Ethercamp whatsoever, but once we agree on the way to go, we can literally use whatever path we want, and we'll still all be collaboratively working together.
Yeah, this is cool because I tried creating my own token, and I first started thinking, well, I could just use the test ether and like somehow change it to my own token, but there's no value in that because, like you said, they reset it. And then,
right, but what we're trying to do, though, we're trying to create a token that will have value eventually. So
that's why I'm like, this is awesome because I was trying to dink around with this on my own, like during the February and the dark months of winter, and all of a sudden it's emerging that we're doing it collaboratively. So hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, the collaborative education is exactly where I'm going with this, and we can use it to go the direction we want to go and make content right now.
Yeah, there's value in this content. It should be value in this coin. I guess got to figure out how to collaboratively work and provide value with it.
Yeah, I think we can do it. As we start bouncing ideas off each other, and as this stuff gets built more, solidly. Hey, that's kind of funny. It is Solidity.
No pun intended.
Yeah, as it starts becoming an actual objective thing with actual clear milestones and goals, which I think it's coming down to. I outlined like 5 or 6 steps that we could take to doing this, at least on the Solidity and user interface end. And I know a few guys that are behind me on the DAO as its own entity, and this avenue is something that I want to continue along even for that. I'm less caring about the DAO anymore, though. I don't give a shit anymore whether they're successful, because over the past couple of days thinking about Divi, I realized that this will probably be more successful. I mean, yeah, we could still try to get money from the DAO, but it'd probably be more successful just forgetting that whole thing ever existed, and instead trying to become the DAO that DAO is going to have to become a part of if they want to succeed.
I think like Christian being the decentralized media, these are the kind of things that you can tie in literally dApps like voting through video. It doesn't just have to be the way they did it with, the Jesus and the thumbs up. We could get creative with the dApps and the voting system, and how the discourse comes about, and I guess it's all up for debate.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
One thing that's a little bit scary is running multiple blockchain, other blockchains of our own or whatever. Interoperability becomes an issue, to say the least.
Well, if as long as you use the same Genesis block and the same network ID, our nodes communicate with each other.
Right.
So we would be on the same blockchain and nobody else be allowed through obscurity because of your port is your network ID, but also because they would have had to have gone in and found your Genesis block and actually intended to do what they're doing. And they would, technically, I guess, if 5 or 6 of us, this happened to me once. It was after it mattered, but it was interesting. I never thought it would happen. If 5 or 6 of us were mining, per se, even if we were doing it competitively, and then somebody came in with like a ton of mining equipment, they could just totally screw up the entire blockchain. And one person did that to this one. It was a few days after we had all shut off our equipment, but somebody did do that. He kept going for long enough to where his blockchain was the longest one, and he wasn't correctly synchronized before he started mining. Yep. So anyway, again, that's all part of network effects. And if we build it in such a way, like, if on the test net, if it gets damaged, then we'll just know that doesn't happen. But then as it migrates towards the regular Ethereum blockchain, then it's secured by the Ethereum miners, not us as private miners. And that's when it becomes more secure because of that network effect. We'd be piggybacking on that network effect because we would care about the tokens, not the ethers. Also, on a track like this. If it ever came to the point where, I mean, we plan on it coming to the point where DiviDAO tokens 1.0 will be like a crowd sale almost. There really would be an interesting feature to be able to buy in with DAO tokens, the DAO tokens, to buy in with amps, to buy in with Ether, to buy in with whatever ones of those technologies that we believe the future to be, which is pretty much, in my opinion, Ether, Scenario, Dash, and the DAO only to the point of the fact that we want votes for when we submit proposals to the DAO. I don't see a reason why a DAO better than the DAO couldn't get like 10% of the votes or something like that in order to almost always vote down stuff that it didn't like and vote up stuff that it did like, as long as and do it in such a way that's fair so it doesn't scare people away from it. So here we go. Here's the DiviDAO tokens that we created. Here's the 25 that I just created with you guys just now. And here's 10,000 I created with Jim earlier, just to show that all it takes is pasting that stuff into the contract and deploying it. And now the guy that deploys it gets all the tokens, but I could easily send this to you know, anybody else. I want to send, yeah, however many to somebody else. If I wanted to send those or Ether, building the tokens gets us out of a lot of the problems that mining has, such as securing the network, such as people corrupting the blockchain. If we don't worry about the blockchain at all and only use a test net for testing, and then as those tests migrate over to the real net, then that whole part of the development process could just be forgot about. Except for the future, I guess. Excuse me. Is there anything that I might have missed?
I have a question.
Yep.
I've seen Ethercamp. I've just seen like Andreas.
Antonopoulos.
No, not him. Olofsson, out of the Netherlands, I think. He's a Solidity developer. Anyways, he uses. I've seen Meteor, and now I've heard of Truffle. Is Ethercamp, Meteor, and Truffle all pretty much the same as far as compilers and like a studio, or they all have different functions?
Well, the code for Ethercamp isn't open, so I could only guess.
Okay.
But Ethercamp looks like it's built on Cloud9, which isn't much more than a virtual machine service provider, similar to Proxmox. Proxmox is probably your closest open source. So anyway, all it is you're signing up, so it says, yeah, you can have like 0.5 MB and 0.5 gig of storage space to now operate a virtual machine on our hardware.
Gotcha.
And so I think it's that, and I haven't gotten Truffle working completely, but it has to be either Truffle or one of the other IDEs like Mix. But it has to be one of those integrated development environments that they're working on. I haven't been able to get Truffle working, but because I have such confidence in the Ethereum Foundation, I'm completely waiting for Mix, because Mix is Ethereum Foundation's IDE.
Okay.
I don't know if you messed with Aleph Zero when you were mining earlier, but
Not familiar with that.
okay. Well, I think Aleph Zero was the precursor to one of those things, if not Mist itself. But yeah, so that's just a virtual machine, and Meteor doesn't run on it, but as you know, in Ubuntu, to get Meteor run, all you would do is like a wget whatever with an install sh or whatever the sh command was for your Linux machine, your shell command. So to get it running on EtherCamp, I would love to try to do. In fact, I could even commit to figuring out how that would work before we do another show, so we can actually bring it back to EtherCamp. But you'd have to pretty much install Meteor on their virtual machine, and I've been wondering if they would like that or not, because that puts a lot of resource allocation to you if you use it in unintended ways. You know what I mean? Like if I started using their virtual machine to do like a denial of service attack, they're going to shut me down. So anyway, using too much resources could legitimately be a denial of service for other people trying to use EtherCamp in the way it was intended.
Gotcha.
So I worry about that. But that has been an hour. I wonder. I wonder if, like, the Meteor user interface stuff though comes a lot later than the Solidity stuff. But if it came like a little bit after, but not after the Solidity was totally done, it would allow people to test out the interfaces a little more easily. Like, I hate to use the DAO as an example, but let's go to like my Ether wallet.com. Maybe it is.
You see, EtherCamp gives you 2 gigs of memory.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, 2 gigs is probably plenty then. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying then. So here we go, DAO proposals. Boom. All right, so this interface here would be something similar to what we would want to produce before, this should have been made before the DAO ever got launched.
Huh.
This should have been during test DAO. But long story short, that's the way I believe it should be done. Like, as we're developing Divi contracts, the people close to the code will use the command line and operate with Divi contracts. And the people that know how to use Mist to get in there can do that. Mist isn't too difficult. But the people that can't quite do Mist and run Geth and all that could then come to your website and use your as you create your Meteor, decentralized Meteor app or DApp, like, they have the ability to use it on their end, but if they don't have the systems administrative know how to do so, they could then come to a website who outsources the blockchain activity for you, like this.
Yeah, and variations of this could be a task list. Show them when you click on one of the proposals.
Here we go. There's DAO is the official name. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then looks like you get more information here. What happened? This
is. Are you thinking about DAO report or?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. But these are some of the functions. Like, if you were, I wish my Mist was open to the real blockchain right now. So if you were, say, a curator, you could make a different button that would interact with the blockchain in certain ways, so that you could say whitelist a proposal.
Yeah. So if you click on vote on this proposal, it opens a wallet.
Yeah, it's going to ask you, because this isn't my local node. So, yeah, Jason, like wallet file. See, users, Jeff, app data. I hide it really well, don't I? All right. Ethereum, key store. Let's do that one.
I don't see nothing.
What a silly password.
Yeah, everybody's gonna figure that one out. And I think that's actually the one that has my DAO tip. So let's hope. I actually am planning on voting on one tonight, which is PS Devs. It's not going to pass, but I'm going to vote yes on PS Devs, sending all the DAO tokens to those who. What's going on here? To those who. Yep, you're about. See, now it gives me. It verified that I have votes. Now it's going to give me the opportunity. So 84 is not the one. Yeah, I'm going to vote no for this. Try that. That was the official no.
See, now you're in my eyes, you're just spending gas and something. I mean, what's the point of even voting no at that point?
Well, there's only three things. I actually made a spreadsheet earlier of all the things that I'm voting on. There were only three things I cared about. This is one of them. I completely disagree with all the decisions that have been made before the crowd sale started.
Okay. So you feel strongly enough to vote no, so that's why you're voting in principle. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's only got like 0.11% or whatever it said. So yeah, this one I'm voting for. I'm voting for 3.
Okay.
But I want to be a DAO token holder guy, so I'm actually treating it almost like I'm a political party, and my votes are always going to be viewable by everybody. So I want my votes to go in line with how I believe it should go, and I'm abstaining from almost everything that doesn't even go in the direction that I feel it should, which is that the DAO is its own entity. And I believe that a lot of people agree with that and will not, like you said, it's going to cost gas, right, for people to vote. So I believe that, there's 80,000 token holders and 70,000 of them probably don't have enough gas or tokens to think that they matter or even to be able to vote on all kinds of stuff.
Now,
so
for voting, you don't have to pay extra for that, do you? Or it's just
voting takes gas because you're writing to the blockchain to make it
right.
vote.
So it would take a very tiny amount, a very small fraction of a penny.
Yeah. It's like 0.50 is 1 ether or something. It's not much.
Right. So it's practically free.
Yeah, you're not trying to deploy a contract. That costs a little more. Once Whisper is created, Whisper will be the way to start doing this for free, but that's not quite done yet. Whisper is how Slock wants to allow people to own locks, because you wouldn't want to own a lock that you have to pay to unlock when it's yours. So you instead own a lock that you can now send a Whisper to for free, and it would unlock.
Oh, I gotcha.
Is that
because there's situations where you might not even want to charge.
Yeah.
That's using a Lightning kind of protocol, or what?
It's called Whisper.
A variation on Lightning?
Isn't that Gavin Wood's contribution?
Yeah. Gavin Woods was huge on a lot of this. So Whisper, yep. Gavin is actually a guy that I would love to start talking about all this, because him leaving the curators makes me think that he has our best interest in mind, and this might be something he'd be interested in. So this is Whisper. Web3.shh, is actually the command. It's actually already there. They're just, I believe, still researching how to use it the same way they're still working on the tokens, standard tokens. So, and this is what Gavin thought about at first, and it's a way to determine that you are in fact that person by sending a Whisper in such a way that doesn't reveal your actual account. So that would be useful, say for DAO Hub or or scenario blog or scenario forum or anything, getting a way to say, are you allowed in here, in such a way that says yes, but not revealing how many tokens you hold.
Is this a peer-to-peer protocol?
Yep, this is actually built into Ethereum. It's part of. This is one of the capabilities of SHH. So Whisper and Swarm are the two things that aren't fully developed yet. Like they've done the Ethereum backend built in Geth right now, which is their main one.
This doesn't actually go on the blockchain, does it?
No, SHH never hits the blockchain.
Right.
No, exactly. This never gets reported.
So Whisper is on Ethereum is the equivalent of Lightning on Bitcoin.
I guess so, but with Lightning on Bitcoin, I admit I haven't looked into that too much. But Lightning on Bitcoin, it still has to write to those Bitcoin blocks, so it still takes that 20 minutes or whatever it might take. So this would be like more like a Yahoo Instant Messenger back in the day without Yahoo in the middle of it.
As far as I know, Lightning doesn't touch the blockchain. I could be wrong, but I don't think it touches the blockchain at all. But it does. It does require a witness or something. I have to look back at it. I'm sorry.
Does that mean it's sandboxed, or it's in a virtual machine, or are you thinking something completely different, Jim?
Well, this is, the basic idea is that the sending everything to the blockchain would be just too much and be too slow. And so this is a peer-to-peer mechanism that lets you talk to another client on the blockchain without going through the blockchain.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like sending a message to somebody's public key.
Wow. I mean, see, this is the kind of stuff I know that they're thinking about, but now you're getting into how it's going to work. Imagine like tracking and tracing for Federal Express by sending it to the blockchain. I mean, or through a message like this.
Yeah, IoT on the blockchain. Yeah, definitely. And well, that's one of the things that I can easily conceive of how the autonomous nature will be developed. Like that's one of the things where autonomy will be strong, because like for 20 years now with barcodes, we know how that's going to work. You know what I mean? You have a warehouse with a bunch of barcodes, and then those barcodes go through a certain thing that will scan those barcodes, and they'll track them in a different way, and it just changes it to RFID is all. And now the RFID can be tracked in a way that's decentrally, so it doesn't have to be a database that has a single point of failure. And so it becomes almost more important to put the information on a transparent blockchain, for a myriad of reasons. One being open data and open government has been something people have been moving towards anyway. And there's all kinds of distrust for supply chains. You could, there's people that won't buy diamonds from certain unlicensed, well, you have to be licensed, but licensed in the wrong way because they might be blood diamonds.
Blood diamonds, yeah.
Yeah, or there's a number of reasons why IoT is important, and not only important, but it seems like it would be really easily automated is the word I want to use, but I'm more moving towards the autonomous part. Like like with enough scanners around the world, everything could be tracked at all times.
I see where you're going with that, and I know that there's a lot of electronic data interface, and it seems to me like you threw out RFID. Yeah, that is kind of creepy, but it is a solution at the same time for packages or whatever. But it really can. I mean, where does electronic data face go? It's not like it's blockchain technology. And I would probably, because I think like a customs pre-clears a lot of stuff through stuff coming inbound. They'll pre-clear it through electronic data interface. And it just seems to me like blockchain is the first thing to take out electronic data interface. And I have a friend who's pretty high, I mean, he's pretty high up in U.S. Customs, and it's like one of the biggest things that they're always working on is the airports and how the different areas just get backed up, and then you got real threats of terrorism and all this stuff. It just seems to me like with blockchain, it can't be erased, it can't be blown up. I mean, look what happened to SEC with the World Trade Centers. I mean, everything's gone. At least with blockchain, it won't. So it's kind of like that's a good way to capture information and just kind of move things ahead with some of the technology, if not solve some of the problems.
Yeah, I think we're on the threshold of the first companies that will, in some ways, never exist, and in some ways always exist. Yeah, as far as IoT goes, also, all that data going into the blockchain in a transparent manner, like some of the data could be encrypted, like perhaps trade secrets would be encrypted, business property, intellectual property, like things can be encrypted before they're put on the transparent blockchain. But certain data would be more useful to be completely transparent, open, in an unencrypted manner, like tracking packages. You'd want, like, say, the package ID to be unencrypted so anybody could search it, especially the person looking for it, and anybody they might email with that ID. And then, you'd want to know where it is, so that information would be unencrypted. But you might not want everybody knowing, like, the XYZ GPS coordinates where it is. You might want
you don't want to give up your customer, because that's what it would do. It's competitive information.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking of is, in a world where, say, Ethereum reigned, or transparent data. Let's not even think Ethereum. In a world where transparent data reigned, I think we would be in a world where more people, the same way for the past 15, 20 years, people have been, web science, and the past 3 years, people have been like encryption science. In the future, once encryption becomes ubiquitous and all this data becomes freely available, and it becomes a lot of it, like we become saturated with data, then a lot more kids are going to grow up interested in data mining. Like, once we have all this data, and once it becomes something that's arguably useful, once you can start extracting information from the data,
archive,
you're going to have kids that want to do data mining instead of computer programming. You're going to have teens that say, I want to go to college for data mining instead of for web development, or instead of to start a brick and mortar store.
Well, you take like open government, or, I mean, just open and transparent government, because right now they don't seem to want to do FOIAs or public records too efficiently, if not provide them. I just seem to think there's something to be said about this technology to ramp it up, to force government to be open and transparent, and even to the point where people can lessen the cost of government, because that's their big excuse, is the cost of doing FOIAs. Well, what about the public using tokens to access their information? You know, they can go get it because it's on the blockchain, and we help them out of where it's at. And, you know, obviously you need to write in the programs because there is private data and certain laws that you can't, you know, you have to protect people's privacy. Sometimes you think they shouldn't be protected, but they still have that. So it's just, there's just multiple applications and light bulbs going off in my head.
Yeah, there's tons. There's so many. I think part of what this decentralization thing is taking, well, it's decentralizing power, of course, and power where it has a tendency to be exploited. And so we've learned that. And so instead of trying to build a system where we are going to take the power and we want to have that tendency to exploit, we're trying to build a system that even we are part of.
Yeah, I mean, you can beat them over the head and spend a lot of time trying to get the records, or you build the system and just get them, you know, say it's our records and we're going to deploy the token and get it because it's ours. It's not anybody else's. It's all of ours. We're the public.
Hey, guys.
Definitely.
I have a question. Can I show you how to run OBS so you can start up the stream anytime you guys want to, so I can get back to trading? It doesn't have to be done right now, but
now's not a good time. I have a meeting I'm about to come up with. I did try to install that. I had some issues, so we can we should cover that some other time. But
Open Broadcast Studio, I have that.
Yeah, what you're going to want to do is after you install OBS is you have to route the audio so that when you hear somebody talking, your computer is picking up their voice and being transmitted to the streaming website. In this case, it's Live Coding TV. So it's not too difficult, but it's a few steps, and I would have to read about it with you to figure out how to set it up on a PC.
On Windows, I think you have to install Sound Switch.
Okay, cool. So it might be
Windows 10. It used to be in the regular Windows audio control.
Well, I'll be back on Linux next show. I've given up trying to get Docker Node running, and I've shown you guys what I wanted to show you that I had here on Windows. So I'll be back on Linux next time.
All right. Terrific.
But I have OBS on Linux. This is my development computer. I have OBS on both. So
yeah.
I'll try it out, and then I'll ask you.
Right, and Jeff would need access to the channel too.
Yeah, I can give him the keys to the channel.
All right, awesome, guys. I'm going to stop the recording now. We'll see you next week.
Cool.
Very interesting development.
Yeah, good to see all you guys again, and yeah, see you if not tomorrow, then on Monday.
Yeah. All righty.
Yeah, I guess we'll see you tomorrow. We have a meeting coming up. And
yeah, I might not be there. I work on Fridays and I work during the Monday thing, so I might not be there.
Oh boy. All right, guys. Bye-bye.